Okay, we move to the second category of debt investment. There is debt investment that is held for collection and will be sold if the price is good, or the company think that they want to sell the the debt. So this type of debt investment follow the same accounting entries as debt investment that is purely held for collection during the reporting period, and they are recorded at amortized cost. So, but the difference is our first at the reporting date, the companies must first adjust the amortized cost to fair value. So we need to record the fair value, or we need to know the fair value, and we will compare the fair value with the amortized cost, which one is higher or lower. So if there is differences between those costs, amortized cost and fair value, it could be in the form of gains or losses. Any gains of losses from holding the debt investment, which is unrealized yet, it will be reported as part of other comprehensive income, but not going to profit and loss statement. It only directly come to the other comprehensive income. Whether even though it is in the same statement, but it goes directly to OCI. This is what I told you earlier. This is OCI. So, for example, Graph PLC purchased 100,000 pounds sterling, 10% interest rate, 5-year bonds on January 2019. Interest is payable on July 1 and January 1, so twice a year. The bond sell for 100,111. So it means above the face value, which resulted in bond premium of 8,000. So the difference is between face value here and the price of the bond when it is sold. It will go into the bond premium. And then the effective interest rate is 8%. So this is the interest that we will use to have the present value of this bond. So you can consult chapter 6 of this book to understand the concept of effective interest rate. So on January 1, at the date of the purchase, a graph will record what is it here, that investment as 108,000 and 111 pounds sterling on January 1, 2019. So you can see here that it is above the face value. Okay, so we will do some amortization of this premium. Later we'll have the table to do it. So this is the record on January 1, 2019. So this is the what do we call it? The table. You can see here. This is the cash received. It is equals to 100,000 as the face value of the bond times the interest rate times the the time of 6 months. So it equals to 5,000. And this is the interest revenue. interest revenue, it belongs to here, comprised of 108,111 times 8% times 6 months. So it equals to 4,324. The differences between these two is the amortization of bond premium. So I reproduce the account again. This is the debt investment. January 1 to 19, we have the value of 108,000 and 111. And then every 6 months we deduct it. We deduct this number. This is July 1 of as much as 676, and then January 1 as much as 703, this one, and then go on until January 1, 2024, as much as 960. So at the end of the life of the bond, it will equal to around 8,111. So this one, the product of 108,111 minus 8,111, it equals to 100,000. Yeah. So it is the the mechanism why we have to amortize the premium. So the premium occurs because we sell the bond above its face value. But the discount is the other case. The discount because we sell the bond below the face value. So every time the company graph receive the interest revenue, it records like this. You can see cash is 5,000 here, and that interest revenue is deducted or credited 4,324, and then we deduct or credited the debt investment 676, or here you can see 676. So at the end we will have the value of 100,000. Okay, like 1 here. So this one is on July 1, the first interest revenue. But remember here also, this is only on single security. We will show you later. I will show you later on when the company has more than one security. And then we go on to December 31. The graph makes the following entry on the, December 31. You can see here it is not cash, but it is receivable. Okay, I hope that you have comprehend this one. Dan sudah memahami mengapa tidak cash but in the form of receivable. So it is 5,000 from here. Remember this one is January 1, since it is all on we are on December 31, not on January 1 yet, so we do not record the cash, but we record the premium, the amortization of premium of 703 and the interest revenue. And at January 1, okay, this is just the illustration. This is interest revenue on January 1, and this is December 31. we record 5,000, and at January 1 we will record it as credited as much as 5,000, and we will record cash on January 1, 2020 as much as 5,000. Okay, I hope it is easy for you. And then the other task that we have to do is to compare the fair value of the security or the debt with its this one its carrying amount. So we must compare between carrying amount against with fair value. Which one is higher? So here the fair value is 105,000, while the carrying amount 106,732, while the fair value is 105,000. So the carrying amount is higher than the fair value. So we have gain here. Sorry, is it gain? The fair value is yeah. Yeah, we have gain here, and it will goes to equity as much as 1,732, because the fair value, sorry, we don't have gain but we have loss here. So we don't have gain but we have loss here, because the fair value or the value that the market will have on our securities is 105, but we record it as 106,000. So we have loss here as much as 1,732. So we record it. See here, it goes to the equity side directly. And then we record the fair value adjustment. This is a new account. It is called fair value adjustment of 1,732. So it is the example of single securities. What about if we have portfolios of securities? This is the example. The Web AG has two debt securities classified as held for collection and selling. The following illustration identifies the amortized cost, fair value, and the amount of unrealized gain or loss. So this one, we have amortized cost of the two bonds. The first bond is Sun SE 8% bond, and then an Encom group of 10% bonds. These are the amortized costs, and those are the fair value of each bond. Here we have gain of 10,063 of Western, and we have loss of 19,600 from holding the Anacom group bonds. And together we have 9,537 total of loss, since we combine those gains and loss of those portfolios. So here we have fair value adjustment of 9,537. So we have here 9,537 fair value adjustment, since we don't have any previous balance of this account. So this is how we record it. We record loss, the debit loss, as much as 9,537, and we record a fair value adjustment as much amount, same amount with the loss. So you can see the point is here is that if it is in the form of portfolio, you must you must sum up the gains and losses from each of portfolios. If it is lost, and then you will record some loss of this portfolio. If it is gain, and we will record the gain. Okay. And then the selling of or the sale of the securities, it is the same as before. If it is sold before maturity date, first you must make entries to remove from that investment. So if it is this one, that investment, we have the amount here of the beginning value and added back with the discount or credited with premium, whichever is relevant. And then at the end, when we want to sell it, we have to record that into credit. So it means that we remove the asset from our debt investment account as much as amortized cost of the bond that we sell. And then any realized gain or loss on the sale is reported on other income and expenses section on the income statement. So it goes to income statement. You see the difference when we record the differences between amortized cost and fair value. It goes to the equity. So it goes to statement of financial position. But when we sell the securities, if we have whether it is gain or loss, we put into the income statement. Why we should put it into income statement? Because it is already realized. When we compare the amortized cost with fair value, it goes to equity since it is still unrealized. This is my understanding on the, but I believe this is the correct or the suitable answer why we should put this one into equity, because it is not realized yet, but we put it into income statement because it is already realized. So this is the illustration. For example, again, Web AG sold the Western bond, one of the portfolio of the bond on July 1, 2020 for 90,000. At the time, the amortized cost was 94,214. So if this is one the debt investment of Western, so at the time on July 1, the face value, the amortized cost has already 92,214. But at that time, the fair value equals to 90,000. So the the market only value it 90,000, while we record it as much as 92,000. So we have loss here. Okay. So we have loss here, loss on the sale of the bond because amortized cost is more than the selling price. So we record that we have cash as much as 90,000, and then we credited our debt investment here. Since it is already been sold, we must record it on the credit side. So the difference will be the loss on the sale of the investment. Okay, this is how we put into this is the other illustration that web report this realized loss on other income and expense section of the income statement. If we assume that no other purchase and sales of bond in 2020, this is not having show, but web, okay, having show on December 31, 2020, the income statement will, the position of portfolio will be like this: only one NICOM here, only one bonds here, and the fair value is below the amortized cost, so we have again loss. Previously we have this fair value adjustment balance of 9,537, so we record fair value adjustment as much as 4,537. Here, this is the journal. This is the record of the fair value adjustment and the loss. See, again, it goes to equity because it is not realized yet. This is the financial statement presentation of the investment. So this is the asset side. You see the the investment here, and this is one loss. Loss goes to equity. So this is actually equity. If we rewrite it like this one is investment 195,000, and this one is equity as much as the other 5,000, recorded as loss. So this is loss, so we will deduct our equity. And the last one is in the form when we have that investment and the motive to have it is trading. It is normal for the company to have an investment, especially financial instrument or financial assets, that they want to trade those investment. So when a company trading securities, they must report it at first at fair value. Why at fair value? Because they trade the securities. They purchase and sell the security. So the security that they possess will be sold at any day that they desire or they want to sell it. So because of that situation, the company must record it as at their fair value. And any unrealized holding gains or losses are reported as part of net income. Why it comes to net income when it is not realized here? The logic is because when the company buy the investment instrument and they put it as a trading instrument or trading investment, they put some resources here to these types of investment. They put some persons, they put could be some team or could be a unit in the company, and this unit or this team main duty is to trade this investment. Since it is their main duty, uh, any loss or any gains is the that occurs because of their activity from trading that instrument or financial instrument, they can be measured or can be considered as their performance indicator. So because it is their performance indicator, then uh, we must recognize the any gains or any loss into the income statement. So even though it is not realized yet. So the previous explanation of why some gains go to net income and some gain goes to equity that I gave you on earlier example or earlier slides uh, is much different from this trading instrument. So it is the explanation is based on the assumption that or the condition that the investment was not trading investment but held for collection investment. Okay. So any holding or loss in the net change in the is the net change in the fair value of a security from one period to another, exclusive of dividend or interest revenue recognized but not received. So holding gains is the net change in the fair value of security from one period. It is not included the dividend or the interest revenue that has been recognized but not received by the corporation. So this is the example. Assume that December 31, Western Publishing, the company, determined its trading security portfolio to be as shown. At the date of the acquisition, Western Publishing recorded these trading securities at cost. So when they purchased the securities, Western Publishing, the company, recorded the securities at cost in the account entitled Debt Investment. This is the first valuation of this recently purchased portfolio. So it is as if these those investment are recently bought by the company, the Western Publishing. So at the end of the first year, let's say like that, the amortized costs are those, and the total portfolio's amortized cost is here 314,000, and the fair value is here 318,000. So the fair value is higher than the amortized cost. So there are gains that the company can recognize even though it is not realized. So the unrealized gain goes to the fair value adjustments. So any gains or loss actually goes into the fair value adjustment. So this is the fair value adjustments first year value, the fair value adjustment. Debited as much as 3,750. And then let's say as this one is the record debit as much as the 3,750, and profit the gain which goes to income statement. So earlier it goes to equity. You can check again on the video, and here it goes to income statement. So this is a note that you should remember that the company has the option or may choose to report most financial assets or any financial assets they wish at the fair value, with all gains and losses related to changes in fair value reported in the income statement. It means like this. Let's say uh, this is the day. Let's say this is February 20, for example. At February 20, you bought some securities. Let's say that investment. Um, you know that you have three option to record this that it is whether you want to record at amortized cost or whether you record it uh, according to its fair value. Now, um, exclusive, or you can ignore your motive to both the securities. For example, this amortized cost is held for collection only, and fair value if it is trading. So let's say actually your intention to buy the securities actually for is held for collection. The option that the accounting gives you is to use amortized cost accounting. But here, this this part or slide tells you that you may choose a fair value accounting, even though your intention to buy the bond is to hold it for collection. So you may ignore amortized cost accounting. Instead, you use fair value accounting, even though your motive is held for collection. If since the beginning of the acquisition, you use fair value accounting for it. So if you use fair value accounting, then all the loss will goes into the the income statement. But this choice applies only on instrument by instrument basis, not for your portfolio, but it is based on your instrument, each instrument. And it is generally available only at the time of the time that a company first purchases it, of the financial asset or incurs financial liability. So let's say on January 20, you bought the boat, you bought the debt, and you think because it is held for collection, you choose to use amortized cost. Okay, and then came the end of the December. Here you report whether you report the amortization cost, and then you find that the accounting may give you some relaxation to that you can choose fair value option. You see this option. For example, somebody tells you that you have the option to use fair value accounting. But since the beginning of the acquisition of the debt investment has chosen the amortized cost accounting, and then let's say this is 2019, and at 2020 you may not choose fair value accounting. Why? Because you have chosen to use amortized cost accounting. You may choose fair value accounting if, since the acquisition of the debt, that is on February 20, February 20, 2019, you have chosen the fair value accounting. So you need to decide it first on the day of your purchase, okay? And then the company must measure this instrument at fair value until the company has no longer has the ownership. So you must be consistent from the day you purchase the debt, this is year 1 until year end, to use whether you want to use fair value accounting from this day on, or whether you want to use amortized cost accounting, okay, until the end of the year, at the end of the ownership of the that instrument, okay. This is the illustration how the purchase bond issued by German Central Bank. Howdy plans to hold the debt investment until it matures in 5 years. At December 31, 2019, the amortized cost of the investment is 100,000. Fair value is 113. If Hardy chooses the fair value option to account for this investment, it makes the following entry. So here, this is the example of held for collection, but they use fair value accounting instead of amortized cost accounting. Okay, so here it records that the debt investment added as much as 13,000 and record gains as much as 13,000. 13,000 comes from the differences between fair value and this face value. So in this situation, Hardy uses debt investment account to record change in fair value at December 31. It does not use fair value adjustment account. You see, there is no fair value adjustment account, but it records that into that investment. The unrealized gain or loss is recorded as part of net income, even though it is managing the investment on held for collection basis. So as I told you, this held for collection actually, but since at the beginning it has chosen it had chosen to use fair value option, then it may record the unrealized gain or loss as part of the income of the company. And the last one, Hardy must continue to use fair value method to record this investment until it no longer has ownership of the security. So we are at the end of our meeting of the first part of the investment. I hope that you enjoy and hope this will help you. See you on the next meeting. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.